Welcome to Exploration Arcanum. In this episode, I sit down with Jana Stern. Based in Toronto, Canada, Jana is a multifaceted spiritual professional, public speaker, as well as a spiritual activator, psychic, energy healer, and astrologer. She has been featured on various podcasts and hosts her own titled I'm Really Into That Stuff. Raised in a family deeply connected to astrology, Jana embraced her spiritual gifts after years of denial and has studied metaphysics, hermetics, and the esoteric realms for over 13 years. She assists individuals in recognizing their blind spots and advancing on their spiritual and self-love journey through one-on-one coaching, group classes, and public speaking. Jana is also the author of Activate Your Chakras and regularly hosts Twitter Spaces. I want to thank Jana for joining me on this episode. I'll put all of Jana's links in the description below. Jana, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Everyone listening, we're going to have a conversation about crystals and going into how to use crystals, how to charge and attune them. And I thought the best person to speak to about this is my great friend, Jana Stern. She's been doing this for years, and she's a much better teacher in this stuff than I am. So, Jana, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Jason. Every time I'm in your presence or near your energy, I'm always happy. So thank you so much for having me.
So I remember when we first started meeting, when we first met, I should say, we were talking about using crystals as currency. And I want to talk a little bit more about that, but give us a little background. How did you first discover crystals, get into crystals, and use them in your daily practice?
Yeah, that's a great story. So I always say crystals got into me. My grandfather owned an oil rig company. And so as they traveled across Canada, digging up these oil mines, which I have many feelings about, but we'll park those. As they were going around the country doing that, they were uncovering these beautiful crystals. And so I was really, really blessed that when I was born, my grandfather had a really large collection. And as a kid, I used to sit when we would go and visit them in their house in Pennsylvania. I would sit and listen to the crystals, and they would tell me stories and sing me songs. And I would just sit and observe them. And I was always the kid who picked up rocks and seashells and things like that. And it wasn't until I was much older that I started to use them in a sort of more metaphysical way and have a deeper understanding about them. I always say that I went through a forgetting, but crystals have been in my life all my life. There has never been a day without a crystal.
When someone's using crystals for healing, meditation, things like that, is it what some people would or wouldn't call magic, or is it more about focusing and intention?
Both. Magic is focusing and intention. But I would say, the reason that crystals work is because there is a physics to crystals. We have crystals in our cell phones, in our computers. We use crystals in our televisions. We originally used them in our radios and in our watches. That's why we get quartz watches, because there's literally a little bit of quartz in there keeping us moving through time. And so there is magic when you are using them for physical or energy healing. Crystals can do both, heal you physically and energetically. But there is sort of a magic to them as well as a science to it. And where the magic lives is in understanding where reality stops and where sort of the everything that is begins outside of reality, if I'm making any sense.
No, that's great. Is there a difference, in your opinion, between crystals, gems, stones, things like that? Like, I notice some people call them gems, some people call them crystals. What do you think?
Yeah. So I tend to refer to them as crystals, but gems are just high grade crystals. They're usually more gemmy quality. And stones to me are a low gemmy quality crystal. So like a rock for example, would be sort of at the bottom of that. But there's always an energy that every single rock carries, right? If you were on this planet for millennia and millions of creatures crawled over you or walked upon you, you would hold some of the energy over time. And then the more gemmy stones, that would be your sapphires, your diamonds, your emeralds, the, kunzites, things like that. They can be of a higher grade that can be cut and polished for gem purposes, maybe for jewelry and things like that. So, but they're all the same.
So, for someone just getting started with crystals, what's the first thing you would recommend? You can go to Amazon right now and buy buckets of crystals. But is there something you would
do that?
Is there something you would recommend someone do when they're first getting started, maybe to learn about what it is they're about to get into?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always say start with quartz. That's the base mineral of our planet. Most of our planet is quartz. You can find it pretty much on every continent, in every place in the world if you dig far enough. And quartz is like an all healer. It touches on all of our chakras. It connects us with the above and the below. It's a really beautiful place to start. And a lot of other crystals like amethyst, citrine, dumortierite, rose quartz, etc., stem from quartz. They're basically quartz heated or cooled to different elements over millennia inside of the earth. And so you want to sort of start with the base and work your way to other stones. And then, I would say the next big sort of umbrella would be the calcites, and then the jaspers and the agates. Those are sort of the big ones that encompass most of the crystals on our planet. They all kind of fall under one umbrella or another. And then, of course, there are the far more rare stones. But for somebody who's sort of getting on the journey, what I always say to people is, when you walk into a crystal shop, and I highly recommend buying from crystal shops that have sourced their crystals ethically, you can feel the difference when you tap in. When you walk into a crystal shop, the best thing to do really is to let the wand choose the wizard, which is to say, the crystal will find you. You will feel called to walk to a certain place, to feel a particular energy, a particular color, a vibration. You might get tingles. You might hear voices. You might have to just stop for no good reason in front of something. The good reason is because that's your crystal, and let it choose you. That's like the best way to start the journey of crystal shopping. But if you're going to buy online through, sources that are reputable, I would say, same deal. Look into the metaphysics, look into the energies of what it is that you are working through in your life, and then find the crystals that are going to help you through that, right? If you're trying to express yourself, go to your blue kyanites, go to your lapis lazulis. If you're trying to ground yourself, there you go. See, get it? If you're trying to ground yourself, get some like grounding earthy stones, some mookaite jasper, some red jasper, some kambaba, whatever it might be that you're needing to really ground yourself into the earth. I could talk about this for hours and hours. So I'm going to just pause there.
But I want you to. So let's say someone has their crystals. They did it like you said. They're ethically sourced. They were drawn to them. Now they have it at home. What should they be doing as far as cleansing and charging this crystal? Because from what I understand from our discussions in the past, they soak up the energy that's around them. So if it's in a negative environment, it kind of brings it along with it. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah. I mean, particularly when they're, I would say regardless, when you buy a crystal, any crystal, you should cleanse it when you get it to your home. You kind of want to declare that this is your baby and you're now taking care of it. And there are lots of ways that you can cleanse crystals. I want to say this is a big DYOR, do your own research, because not all crystals are created equal. Some of them straight up don't like some of the things that I'm going to suggest. A lot of the crystals in the quartz family don't love sunlight, but a lot of crystals love sunlight for recharging. Some of them don't like moonlight, but a lot of crystals love moonlight for recharging. Same with water. Many crystals cannot be put in water. However, a lot of crystals can be recharged with water. Same with salt and salt water. There are also, you can put your crystals in the earth. You can plant them in your plants at home or outside if you have outdoor space available. I have many times planted my crystals in the park near my home and then dug them up a couple months later. They love that. You can also smudge them. Again, make sure this is ethically sourced. Whatever you're smudging with, it could be Palo Santo, it could be sage if that's part of your practice. It could be cinnamon sticks, incense. It could be cedar, lavender, rose petals, whatever it is that you burn it and use the smoke to clear the crystals of their energy. I think I got them all. Oh, and then selenite, the crystal can also recharge your stones for you. So if you have a slab of selenite, line your little crystals up on that baby and it'll recharge them for you. I think that's it. If I forgot one, I'll let you know.
You can also use sound, is that right?
That's the last one. I love it. That's correct. Yeah. So you can use high frequency vibrations. So you might want to use like a crystal bowl or a sound bowl, tuning forks, things like that to recalibrate the stone and its frequency, because pretty much all these things are just frequencies.
Right. So how would someone incorporate crystals in their daily life? What's your suggestion? Like me personally, I wear mine, and I have my I have my set sitting on my desk. But is there any other things you would suggest?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, definitely carrying them on your person, whether they're jewelry or they are in a pocket. I often tuck them in my bra. Sometimes wherever they may go, that's where they are. That's a great way to take them with you. Or sometimes I used to carry like a pouch around my neck and carry a whole bunch of crystals with me everywhere I went. And the other ways that you can use them is just around the home. So placing them in particular places around your home, or even going as far as setting up an altar of sorts. Getting into crystal grids. There's a little bit more magic to it, I guess, when you start gridding. But this is where you're setting things up with intention. There are there is numerology, I should say, involved in crystal gridding often. And there is certainly intention and amplification that can happen when you're setting up crystal grids. It's not complicated, but it definitely does require a particular energy force field at a particular time. I wouldn't say, oh, it's Tuesday night and I'm just feeling zany, so I'm going to set up a crystal grid. Like, if that's the case, amazing, but make sure that you've set the space, that you've cleared the energy, that you've cleared your own energy, and then go into the, what is my intention? Have you purchased your stones on purpose? Have you cleansed them? Have you cleansed yourself? And then setting up the grid, being in that energy the whole time, clear with your intention, clear with yourself, and moving forward that way.
Is there a, because this is not a crystal, obviously, but it has the color of a crystal that we've discussed. Does the color itself carry any significance as well as the material?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so most of the time, it's like a pretty safe bet to assume that if a crystal is a particular color, that color is going to align with the chakra color that is connected. So if you're working on, for example, your root, you're going to want to buy red or black, brown, dark stones. Working on your sacral, you're going to go for orange, your solar plexus yellow, your heart green or pink, your throat blue, your third eye, lavender or indigo, and then your crown would be more lavender, white, clear stones, some of those lighter stones that are almost sort of see-through. Often they become quite gemmy, like kunzite or, hemimorphite or things like that. So, Herkimer diamonds and actual diamonds, things like that. Those are all crown stones. But yeah, they definitely can help. And oftentimes they will tie in with many of the physical ailments that are happening in those parts that are related to those chakras. So the color matters, but I want to say sometimes one stone might, for example, fluorite could be like a blue fluorite would be your throat, but it also could be your heart, and it also could be your crown and your third eye. So nothing is just, it's not all binary. It's not like, oh, if it's purple, it's third eye, but it could be more than one. But almost every time, if it is a particular color, it's going to link in with the chakra that aligns with that color.
Other than just having them in your presence, is there any other techniques you use to utilize crystals?
Definitely. You can literally call on the frequency of anything from anywhere. So there have been times where I was traveling and particular stones in my home I was like yearning for and missing while I was traveling. And I could literally call upon the energy to be with me. It sounds very crazy, but it's very real. Frequency is very real, and time and space are fake. So when we think about the vibration of a particular crystal, we can literally call it into our energy field just by thinking about it. And this works particularly when you're trying to specifically manifest things. So if you're like, oh, I really am trying to manifest more money and I just need some aventurine, but I'm kind of broke right now and I don't have any aventurine, guess what? You've called aventurine into your life. And I would say one of the best ways that I have found that I can use the energy of crystals is gifting them. So when I have a stone and I give it away, 10 times out of 10 in giving it, I am receiving something. That almost always happens.
I still have the one you gave me. So it's actually on my mantle. So it has a place of honor.
I love that.
So where else can people find information on you, on the things that you're working on? You're an author, you're a digital artist, you're a psychic, you're a tarot reader, you host spaces every Thursday night. I mean, come on.
We out here. Yeah. I'm all over the place. I would say, so if you're wanting to learn more about crystals, in particular, there is a really great site that I love called, it's going to come to me, Energy Muse. Those guys are really, really wonderful. I love them. But I have a number of different friends and businesses that I'm connected to that sell different crystals. Shout out to my friends at Alternity here in Toronto. My friend Sierra from goodjuju.com, and my girlfriend Andrea from Quartz and Canary, as well as my friend Nicole from Atlas Trove. I have a lot of connections with people who sell these things. It turns out that when all you do is talk about crystals, you meet a lot of people into crystals. So that is definitely a trend in my life. And I know a lot of people who are connected, which I'm really grateful for. In terms of finding me, I am all over the place. I have a podcast called I'm Really Into That Stuff. And you can find that on all the streaming platforms as well as full videos on YouTube. I am mostly available at janastern.com. It's a great place to learn about me, book readings, healings, any of the things that I'm up to. You can always find that on there. Really active on X/Twitter. That's like a very great place to find me. I pretty much live on Twitter. I think my link in bio there has all of the other links to all of the things, but I have a book on the chakras. I have NFTs that are available if you want to purchase those. They are all crystals. That's actually how the conversation of crystals as currency really did kick off, because I think that it would be awesome to run a society where my quartz is how you determine my value instead of the dollars in my pocket. But until we're there, you can purchase NFTs. The NFTs, I've got 2 of them. The first are the Crystal Magic Punks, and those guys are they come with a channeled message that lets you kind of understand, okay, so you've chosen this crystal. Why? What does it mean? What do you do about it? And if you want to dive deeper, there's a discount code with me. And then there's another one called Higher Beings, and those guys give you access to an astrology reading with me, which is also part of my practice. I'm an astrologer and an energy healer, and I don't know, many other hats, as you mentioned, Jay.
And you're also one of the hosts of the weekly spaces, Metaverse and Metaphysics, where if you come, you get a free POAP, and after 10 collections, you get a free reading. So make sure you guys are...
Not me, though, with Davita. She's amazing, and she's a brilliant, brilliant reader, but yes.
Davita is awesome. Shout out to Davita and Jody.
And Jody.
We're going to link all of that in the description below, everybody, so you can take a look and enjoy Jana's just presence as much as I do. I cannot thank you enough, Jana, for taking the time and doing this with me. Really can't wait to talk to you again on Thursday night.
We will do this again and again and again. I'm sure, Jason, I appreciate you having me on here, and thank you for just being yourself. I really appreciate you.
Talk soon. Thank you.